grateful for you, the listener, for tuning in on the airwaves of WRFL Lexington at 88.1 FM, or possibly streaming the show, streaming the audio at WRFL.FM, or maybe you're watching the show on Facebook Live. You can watch the show, if you like, on my profile, Mick Jeffries, as well as Leif Erickson's profile. And you can even join the Trivial Thursdays Facebook group to get one email from me a week saying who's on the show. So today on the show, we have a segment that was actually proposed by our next guest. Sarah Katzenmeyer is here. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning.
You might want to pop your mic on there and tell us how it is.
Good morning.
Hi.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
I'm glad to hear it. Sarah, you brought along a couple friends. Well, let's introduce them first. Do you want to introduce the people that you brought along?
These are my favorite heroes, Dr. Gupta and Jacob Stone. Thank you all for joining today. I will talk more about them.
Great seeing you, Sarah.
Great to see you.
Nice to see you, Dr. Gupta. And
very nice to meet you, Mick.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being on the show, Dr. Gupta. Jacob Stone, are you an MD as well?
No, I'm an exercise physiologist with UK in the cardiac rehab program.
Okay, so thank you all for being here. Shall we? Sarah, you've got quite a story to tell. It's a story that I'm tangentially involved in as one of the people, and Leif too, I suppose, as people who are fond participants in
fellow zombies.
Annual, the zombie parade, the Michael Jackson Thriller parade.
Right.
Yeah. It's one of the funnest things that there is to do. Sarah, you've been involved in it. Have you been involved kind of like many years, most years?
10 years.
10. Yeah.
I have all the bracelets to prove it. A t-shirt.
This year, a little bit different for you.
It was. Do you like me to share?
Yeah, do you want to tell the story?
I'd be happy to. It was a typical Sunday in October for me. I'm a Halloween fanatic. I'm a thriller lover. I did a big family breakfast for my family that I do every Sunday, 7 of us. And after that, my son offered to volunteer with me to do some lit drops for the Democratic Party for a special election. And we did that in a remote neighborhood out around Wolf Run. If something had happened to me there, I can't imagine I wouldn't be here. Then I went home from the lit drops and I got into my zombie costume. I wear a royal blue bridesmaid dress every year because I did that in a movie and it's kind of become my costume. And I put on all my zombie makeup that I have with the blood dripping and the bites and everything. And I really like to be in that first group of zombies. They separate them based on starting points and how many zombies sign up. And I like being at the Kentucky Theater because I like to see Michael and Ola when they come out of the theater, as the zombies are rising up out of the grave, which is really out of the gutters. And I have some photos of some of my zombie friends I saw down before the parade. So I know that I was there and I know that I was okay up until the point, where Michael and Ola finished their dance and the zombies are rising up. I must have been okay then because I have some photos. The next thing, however, that I remember is waking up at the University of Kentucky Hospital with an amazing staff. Dr. Gupta and his staff. I cannot sing their praises enough. Cannot say enough about them. But let me back up. Apparently,
that is the next thing you remember.
Yes.
You went from downtown to the hospital.
Yeah. Yes.
Sarah's doing the thriller moves.
Yes. So let me back up a little.
Wow. So.
Go ahead.
Okay.
So apparently.
Did you say you're going to back up a little?
Yeah. So there I'm in the hospital, but now I'm going back to the parade. Apparently, when Thriller started, I must have fallen to the ground, some heart episode, and people huddled around me. Someone must have attempted to do CPR, but maybe not doing it exactly right. And so there was a woman across the street, Charlotte Callan, my hero forever. She must have seen the huddle and came over and asserted herself as being trained in CPR. She had just completed the CPR training required by her job working at the University of Kentucky Pharmacy. She thinks she performed CPR on me for about 10 minutes. Apparently the first set of EMTs that were called were already at another emergency, and so they had to call 3rd Street and Woodland as backup, and it took them at least 10 minutes to get there. Apparently I was resuscitated 3 times before being put in the ambulance and taken to the University of Kentucky Hospital. My husband Barry had gone a block ahead of me because I always like him to take videos of me doing the thriller parade. And so he didn't know that anything had happened to me until the parade was over and I did not show up down at the Fifth Third Pavilion where we always meet. He was worried, so he called my son Kagan. Kagan used Find My app on our iPhones to find me and saw that I was at the University of Kentucky Hospital. He apparently broke a few security rules to get into the facility to try to find me because, Find My app is, from up there, and he just knew I was in that building. He did not know which of the many floors I might have been on, so he did go past security a time or two, but eventually they helped him find me. Apparently I was out of it for about 7 days. I have a video of the nursing staff singing Happy Birthday to me on the 29th, but I have no memory of it other than I have the video. I was discharged on November 2nd, and I have been under the expert care of Dr. Gupta and his staff ever since. Thank goodness for them. They are my heroes as well. And then since then, I've been doing cardiac rehab with Jacob Stone's staff, and I cannot sing their praises enough. Shout out to Craig, go Cats, and the rest of the staff there. They have kept me at it. They have helped my physical, obviously, self, but they have helped me up here more than I can say, just from keeping me at it and checking on me. And I'm focusing on the physical, but I do still have some emotional trauma to come to grips with. And in the meantime, I have found a cause that is helping me cope, and it's CPR. We need everybody to learn CPR. It is something that can change lives. It is something that we all should know. When you look at the top 25 things that CPR does and the facts, it's staggering. I can share some later if we have time. But I have to say, it's going to save one of your loved ones if you know it. So learn CPR. And I'll stop about that and let the professionals talk about it. But I have not yet met Charlotte yet. Charlotte Callan, my first hero. And we have plans to meet up soon. She's such a busy person. She's in school full time. She works at the UK pharmacy. And we're going to hook up and meet in person. But we have been in contact because she's my number one hero. And I'll shut up for a second, Mick.
Make your mic, sir.
Thank you. That's Sarah Katzenmeyer. Thank you, Sarah, for sharing that. I have so many questions, but before we get there, I think maybe let's engage with Dr. Gupta and see what he has to say about this. Dr. Vedant Gupta from UK Healthcare, right?
Yes, I'm a cardiologist at the University of Kentucky.
Now, what does a cardiologist do?
I'm a heart specialist.
Okay. And so you look at hearts when they go wrong?
Well, hopefully when they go wrong, hopefully when they're on the mend, and hopefully when they're going right as well. I mean, it's in Sarah's case specifically, it was when it wasn't going right, but what's great about what I do and seeing patients when they're in the hospital, but also outside of the hospital, is I'm fortunate enough to build some of these relationships and see them when things are going well as well.
Now, when I tell you, I gotta say, even recently, and Sarah, it might even be because of you, I have found myself, I think so many people take their hearts for granted.
Mm-hmm.
It's been beating your entire life. It's been running
Yes.
your body, right? Your whole life. However old you are, it's been beating. It doesn't go to sleep at night. Am I right about that? I'm pretty sure about that.
You're absolutely correct.
And that sort of freaked me out a couple times. And if you start sort of like paying attention to your heart, and you're like, is everything okay? Everything's okay, right? I think everything's okay. But so, and Sarah, you mentioned that, I mean, so there's like some mental collateral sort of, there's a lot of baggage that can go with this, I would think.
Yes.
As most of us walk around just kind of, as many people walk around just absolutely taking our hearts for granted. If you wind up being someone whose heart suddenly does something not good, then I would imagine that could color your sort of daily perspective.
Yes, it does. Luckily, I'm on a combination of a couple of medications that are supposedly keeping my heart doing what it's supposed to do, but then I have a backup. I have a pacemaker and that other thing, the defibber thing. I have both of those as my backup. So Dr. Gupta and his staff have told me that I'm in good hands with the medicine, keeping my heart doing what it is supposed to. And in case it doesn't, then I have this backup. And Dr. Gupta, feel free to correct me.
Absolutely. So, I mean, for Sarah specifically, what happened to her is she went into a dangerous heart rhythm. And that's really one of the situations when people go into a heart rhythm like this, where Charlotte and other people that know CPR make the biggest difference. As much as I'm fortunate to work at a world-class institution with world-class people like Jacob and our staff, and have the ability, technology-wise, but expertise-wise, to help with some of those things, none of that matters if Charlotte wasn't there to do CPR for her, because that was probably the single most important thing to help while her heart wasn't working because it was in this dangerous heart rhythm, to make sure every other organ was.
And to prevent brain
be able to get
damage.
blood out to the entire
Right. I've since learned that prevented brain damage. Every second that she stepped up and got me going, kept me from having severe brain damage.
Now I have to ask. So, Charlotte, it's too bad that she's not here with us. We probably could have arranged that. If she was, do we know if she a healthcare professional, or is she just a citizen who knew CPR?
All of the above. She works at the University of Kentucky Pharmacy as a job, and she's a full-time pre-med student, I believe. And Dr. Gupta, if you know different, I believe that's...
Yeah, I know. So I would say that what Charlotte did, because it was a part of her job as a pharmacy tech here at the university, really sort of applies across the board. I don't know that I would have said that she needed it necessarily for her job outside of it's a requirement at UK, because you never know when you're going to be needed to do that. But I think it's on her path to a lifelong career in medicine. So
one of the things she said to me, Mick, was that she had some doubts about her chosen profession to go back to med school and to make this huge commitment, and that when this happened, it reinforced it to her because she knew she wanted to be that person to help. She also said that she experienced that thing that I believe Jacob has mentioned in some training, is that people sometimes are hesitant, even if they have the training, the certification, to actually step up and be that good Samaritan, because what if I do something wrong? Should I be that assertive? Do I shove other people out of the way if they're doing it wrong? It takes something up here to have whatever that initiative is. And she said that she had it, and now she knows she has it.
Let's bring Jacob Stone into this then, and have Jacob talk about.
He trained me on CPR.
And before we get started, I just want to say that I have sort of vague but sort of visceral memories of a CPR dummy when I was, I don't know, in like 7th grade or something like that. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that still happens. I don't know what it counts for. I feel like I know what CPR in general looks like, but just like you were saying, Sarah, if I was in a situation where it seemed as though I should step up and perform CPR, I would be extremely hesitant. Jacob Stone, would you like to talk some about that?
Sure, yeah. We've been a big proponent for hands-only CPR and cardiac rehab for a while, and Sarah has a pretty amazing story. We've had other patients come to us with similar stories of receiving hands-only CPR, and one thing we do in our program is we at least offer it. We teach all patients and family members, anybody who wants to come with them, how to perform hands-only CPR. It takes away that mouth-to-mouth breathing. It's to try and get more people trained and hopefully get more people willing to help if they witness an emergency. And it takes about 90 seconds to learn. The first and most important step is you just call 911, put your phone on speaker, and they're going to walk you through everything that you need to do. The second is you just push hard and fast in the center of the chest. We have dummies in our facility, and so we let everybody actually practice with some feedback to dummies so they get an idea of how deep they really need to press and how fast they need to press. But it's a very, very valuable skill that does not take very long to learn.
And so this is something that most anybody could learn. Is that right? Or
Absolutely.
Yeah, everybody can learn it. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Jacob invited my entire family.
Everybody should learn it.
Jacob invited my family to come in for training, and it was great. And I had no idea that it was so hard to get that 1.5 to 2 inches depth, that very first thing, and get the green light to go. And then doing it to staying alive, doing it 120 times, correct me, Jacob, 120 times a minute?
100 to 120.
It's hard.
Now this is the tempo thing, right?
It's hard.
I've heard "Staying Alive" by the Bee Gees before.
Yeah.
That's
So
supposed to be
in-class instruction, you try and press about 2 inches in depth at a rate of 100 to 120 beats per minute. So it's fast. You're pressing against some resistance. So it's a lot more challenging than people realize it's going to be.
It is.
So that to continue CPR for 10 minutes is a long time.
It is. I could barely make it 1 minute. Jacob assures me that the adrenaline kicks in and that you are able to do more than you think.
Yeah.
But
now. Let's see. So Jacob, you are also you're at UK Healthcare, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see. So what are some of the situations that you see people in, Jacob, that they come to you? I'd like to jump back to the mental thing a little bit, because I'm wondering if some people come to you who have had, I don't know why I hesitate to say heart attack. I don't know if that is an acceptable term anymore. Heart episode. And I wonder if some people come to you who have, I don't know, who you can see I can see a kind of depression coming out of it in some ways.
Yeah, we see just about every patient who has had some sort of event, heart attacks, any kind of surgery, cardiac arrest, sometimes just stable angina or chest pain. We see all of those patients, and primarily we are an exercise and education program, and we do a lot of education in our program. And everything that we do is completely individualized for the patient, what they need, what their concerns are, what their goals are. I think that we do that pretty well. One of the things that we do really well is some patients may not be able to give us the amount of time that they need to really show improvement in their functional capacity, but one thing we really give patients peace of mind about what they can return to, whether that's activities of daily living at home, it could be, playing with their grandchildren. We do a really good job about giving patients that peace of mind to return to whatever activity they hope to return to. And along with that kind of goes that improved quality of life and decreased fears.
Tara, how's the journey been for you as you sort of look at, I don't know, as this sort of, goes into the rearview mirror some, hopefully. Does it go enough into the rearview mirror, if you will? Like I said, you've got this machine inside of you that sort of keeps you going. You've got actually literally machines inside of you now. So you get to monitor numbers, you get to see things that are happening. I don't know, how has it affected your quality of Sarah Katzenmeyer?
I have to say that now every little thing that happens to me, I'm more conscious of my body talking to me, and I try to listen. Just little things that happen. It's like, oh, my hand feels a little tight, or, did I eat too much salt? Am I not doing that salt healthy diet that the dietitian told me I should? By the way, to have a dietitian there too is very helpful.
You do. I left out the dietitian. I apologize.
Yes. I'm going to tell Shoris that you forgot.
Shoris.
Anyway, back to your question, Mick. It's when you first come out of it, it's really hard to put your head around. It's like, I died. This person saved my life. What do you say to a person like Charlotte? I mean, that was one of my very first challenges. What do you say to someone like Charlotte? How do you thank someone? How do you thank the staff under Dr. Gupta for all they did for me all those days? I mean, they were truly amazing in responding to so many things happened to me while I was there. Then, the same thing. So it's this gratitude thing, and that's another program they have from the cardiac rehab. There's a gratitude journal they give you, and at least once a week they want you to write down what you're grateful for, because that was the first things that started going through my head. Be grateful that you're alive. Be grateful that you're a real live zombie now, not just a dress-up zombie. That's something to be thankful for.
Oh my
thankful
God,
for your
Sarah.
family. So it's that grateful thing, and then you have to get your head around, why am I here? And I'm not a church religious person at all, but I'm a spiritual person in that I'm probably supposed to be doing something good. And so when the CPR thing came up, I grabbed that because that was an easy one. I'm going to get out there. I've started investigating why is it not being taught in all the high schools when the law passed in 2016, but it isn't being monitored in the high schools, and it's a law in Kentucky. So that's going to be one of my next things. I've always been political. You know that, Mick.
Yeah,
And I don't think I answered your
that's-
question.
Oh, well, who knows? You're sharing your experience. That's the important thing. And we've only got a couple more minutes here left. So I guess what I'd like to ask all of you all is what are some of the ways that you think what are some of the ways that just anybody who's listening who maybe is not connected to this at all could become connected in some way? Is it by learning CPR? Is it by having a better understanding? I'm a little concerned now about going to the gym and doing the intensity level workout that I do sometimes. Sometimes after a conversation like this, if I go to the gym, I think I'm probably going to be listening to my heart a little bit more. And anyway, I'm just curious ways that the community here in Lexington can kind of benefit from this great success story, I think. So, Dr. Gupta, is there anything that you would like to share on that count from a cardiology standpoint?
Absolutely. So one of the things I want to reassure you, Mick, to exercise, to get back to it, to understand and listen to your body, and if you have symptoms, don't hesitate to reach out. One of the things I love about seeing Sarah, and I told her this the last time we chatted, was that seeing her is always a great reminder for us why we do this in the first place. We're really here for the community. We're here for all patients. But if you need anything, don't wait on it. I think all too often we ignore symptoms. We say, oh, it's going to get better. It's not anything we need to worry about. Or, it's probably a cold, a flu, some gas, whatever it may be.
Can I just level up there? Because years ago, I'm going to make a confession. Years ago, I had like some chest pains, and leading my kind of wacky American lifestyle or whatever, I was like, I don't have time for this. And I specifically sought out a friend, a nurse friend who I felt like I could count on to not tell me that I had to go straight to the hospital.
Fair enough.
In retrospect, I don't know if that's really the best use of my sort of priority making skills, but like you said,
it's a very natural
that,
one.
A lot of people don't really feel like I don't have time to have a heart attack.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that, and listen, I always tell everybody is let us tell you that it isn't. We're happy to do that. Nothing makes me happier than to see someone and say, hey, you're doing all the things that you should be doing. But what we don't want to have happen is, mild symptoms become severe symptoms or become life-threatening symptoms. So you should always feel comfortable reaching out. And I think there's great ways to get involved. I think learning CPR is definitely one of them. But there's plenty of things. There's Go Red for Women, which is really a national program for awareness on heart disease in women that's happening in 2 Fridays from now. But there's also the American Heart Association Heart Walk. So there's definitely opportunities to get involved for those that are interested to get connected. But for people on an individual level, I think understanding that, that's what we're here for, is to really help people navigate this. So you can do all the things you want to do, live your life the way you want to live it, not necessarily restrict you.
And then Jacob Stone, would you like to add anything to that about helping people recover from things like Sarah's gone through? Can I say heart attack, by the way? Is heart attack still a thing?
It is still a thing.
Very confident,
Okay.
Unfortunately. Post-event, go to cardiac rehab. We're definitely underutilized. Everything that we do is individualized, so I guarantee there's no level of fitness that we cannot improve. We're going to risk stratify you, so if you think you're too healthy for cardiac rehab, I guarantee you that you're not. We're going to give you good peace of mind about what you can do. If you're ever concerned about an event, make sure you get that evaluation. Don't wait. The earlier the better. And the American Heart Association have some really great, super quick videos on their website about hands-only CPR with some demonstrations. So check those out. And if we actually have an in-person heart walk this year, every year myself and my team are always out there teaching hands-only CPR to anybody who wants to show up and participate. So.
Thank you so much for that. And so I am curious. I guess my last question, or no, let's just go straight. Let's go to Sarah. Sarah, I'm going to let you sort of close this segment out. We do have to go, but can you talk about, I don't know, the difference between how you feel now and how you felt maybe before this was happening, or right when it first, like when you woke up in the hospital? I mean, the first thing I would think is, oh no. But what has that journey been like for you?
It's been, the one word that comes to mind is grateful. But then the next thing that comes to mind is have it make a difference. And I have to say, researchers actually use the data about how many people are CPR certified in an area to determine survival rate. So even more than how many ambulances you have and how many, professionals you have, how many people know CPR in a community is the number one data point. What does that tell you? Get your lazy bum out and learn CPR.
That's amazing.
It is.
I have to say I'm quite surprised by that.
It's amazing.
That's incredible.
So learn CPR. That's my message. Learn CPR. No excuse. No excuse.
And the best way to do that, just to review with Dr. Gupta or
you can go all the way from certification class down to just get on YouTube and watch a video. It's really not that complicated. It's physically challenging, but and Jacob, I'm sure if anybody wants to call Jacob's office, I know they will help you.
Yes, absolutely. AHA has lots of resources that you can also find courses. If you just search AHA Basic Life Support training near me, you can find courses to get certified to whatever level people want to. And I think any amount is helpful because as everybody's highlighted, for Sarah, probably the most important person was Charlotte. For the next person that goes down, and maybe one of us that's out in the community and can actually do bystander CPR.
And it's almost always your family or someone you know. It's not usually a stranger. So that's even more motivating to learn. It's usually your family member.
It is. I'm glad you mentioned that as a closing point. That's especially worth mentioning. Thank you all. I appreciate it. Dr. Vedant Gupta, Sarah Katzenmeyer, and Jacob Stone.
Thank you all.
And thanks for sharing the story and the promise of CPR. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
For having us.
Thank you.
You all have a great day, and we're going to take a super short break, and we're going to come back and close out the show with some music from Vanessa Davis. So stick around for just half a second here, take care of a little bit of station business, and we will be back.
This portion of WFL's programming is made possible in part by Street Scene Vintage. Street Scene offers a retro environment and a variety of housewares, furniture, clothing, and accessories. Street Scene is located at 2575